Yeah. Well, another day, another Russian revelation. Supposedly, reportedly, Putin and you-know-who had an hour-long undisclosed meeting at the G20 summit dinner, which surprised other world leaders in attendance, apparently. Given all the headlines and investigation, did he not think people would go, hey, we noticed that you had, like, another meeting? Like, we saw the pictures from all the other meetings that you had with Putin, but you sort of missed this one.
And you're buried in what you're saying is created by the media, this theme of Russia and that there's something going on. There'd be a point where I'd kind of learn on the job that the optics matter and go completely clean. There's nothing here. This is what happened. I don't know why they're not picking up on it. It's like, how many times do we have to take a lap around this to realize we want to know?
Yeah.
Because without the media, we wouldn't know.
The thing that's unbelievable is that the translator was from the Kremlin. So the only guy in the room who spoke Russian and English was one of Putin's guys. So he could have said that, well, you know, we're bombing Mar-a-Lago, and Donald Trump thinks he's saying, you're great, you're the best president the country's ever had. He doesn't know what they really are talking about. And that is frightening.
It's frightening, and also the Kremlin is the only country now that has a transcript of the meeting. So we don't really have an accurate reporting of what happened at the meeting. But what I kept on thinking, to Sarah's point, like, why do they keep on doing this? Why are they breaking protocol? Why don't they know what they're doing? Well, apparently, this type of meeting is generally organized by the Office of the Chief of Protocol, which has been without a chief since Trump came to office because he didn't appoint anybody. So they literally don't know what they're doing.
I mean, this particular part of the story, honestly, when I read the New York Times report, this did not look like a story to me. Because if you look at the G20, this part, no. I mean, other meetings, yes. Do I think that his son should have disclosed who was in that meeting where Trump Jr. was in? Yes. This, you're at the G20, which is heavily publicized. The media knows they're there. If you look at the footage and the photos of it that are released, you see him walking around. He goes over to Putin. He leaves his table and goes over to Putin. Putin happens to be sitting next to Melania. So to me, this could have been a very casual conversation.
An hour casual conversation?
I did not. I mean, if you see him, this is what they do. This is what they do. They do this all the time at these events like this at the G20. You will see politicians get up and mingle and do this all the time. So I understand why, if you have a history, particularly with Russia and what's going on, if I were him, I would have not made that decision. But I don't necessarily think this part of the story is the one to run.
Because of all the other people who are involved with Russia, it's not just him.
Usually,
it's his son. It's Manafort. It's what's his name? The general Flynn. It's Jared. It's all of them are involved with Russia, and nobody knows why he loves Russia so much, why he loves Putin so much. So this looks bad, but you know what's fascinating? Nobody seems to care. The Republican Party is not after him on these things. You know, I mean, if this was the Soviet Union, you think they'd be so nice about it? I don't think so.
Do you think Putin would really sit with someone for 1 hour just to mingle?
Well,
I don't strike you as a mingler.
I don't know.
Well, typically
Trump does for sure.
Trump does. Normally,
you know what's interesting?
Translator.
I remember how upset everyone was that Barack Obama had a relationship to Jeremiah Wright, the Reverend, and how people went berserk. He's an American. He doesn't care about America. And what the hell is he doing? Rah, rah, rah. And this is like, oh, it's just Putin. Don't even worry about it. It's Putin, baby. You know what I mean?
Well, he comes from the country that I had to hide under a desk for when I was in elementary school. That is the country. No, it was even before the Cuban Missile. When you're a kid in elementary.
Oh, it was because of Russia.
There's going to be a nuclear war, and you got to get under your desk.
Usually, when you're going to small talk at a dinner party, you also don't grab the guy you need a translator for, because small talk is normally chit-chat.
But just
to just respond really quick to what Jed said about how she said this is common at those dinners, there was some feedback from other people there. The idea, Ian Brimmer, the president of the Eurasia Group, a New York-based research consulting firm, said there were other guests that actually said they were kind of flummoxed, they were confused, and they were startled to keep seeing the kind of President Trump gravitating to Putin. It was different than normal.
This does. Politicians sometimes, I think, make these kinds of mistakes. Though I remember, and everyone on the right jumped on it at the Nuclear Security Council. Remember when President Obama had that hot mic moment where he said to the Russian president, "I'll have more flexibility after the election." People who didn't like President Obama ran with that moment and said, "Oh, he's trying to do some illicit deal." All I'm saying is that it's easy to look at someone you don't like, a politician, and look for the story. This, to me, looked like the New York Times was looking for something here. There's plenty on Russia that I don't like that he's doing. I'm not sure that in this particular instance.
Again, there's too much smoke here. It's not just one time or one person.
That's why they're investigating.
Well, but I just, I'm sorry. I'm going back to my other point. Is that, I remember months and months and months and months and months and months of Jeremiah Wright.
Yeah.
Months of Jeremiah Wright. And, they were pissed at him because, of course, they forgot their history and didn't realize that Jeremiah Wright had fought for this country, came back and couldn't vote here. So they didn't realize why Jeremiah was mad at America.
Yeah.
But the idea that the whole Russian groove, we've spoken to people, said, no, it's not a big deal. This whole Russian groove, I'm just kind of shocked at, particularly because of all the hell that Obama got for knowing people. Not even, not even best friends and stuff.
But didn't President Obama actually distance himself from Jeremiah Wright?
Doesn't matter.
Whereas Donald is kind of.
But that's true. But it doesn't.
Leaning in.
But it doesn't. But it doesn't matter. Whether Obama distanced himself or not, the hell that he was given for knowing this man, just knowing him.
Yeah. But the point is, he actually took the criticism in and distanced himself.
Right.
He corrected course in a sense.
I think that's a good point, though, because if there were people who were upset that President Obama had said, "Oh, I'm going to sit down with Iran without preconditions." If you were upset about that, that's fine. You should also be upset about these relationships that Donald Trump has with Vladimir Putin, many of which have no explanation. Be consistent on the issue, and I agree with you 100%.
Are you concerned at all about
Russia?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm very concerned that there was a meeting with Don Trump Jr. where not all of the information was disclosed up front, that there was no transparency, that now all of a sudden there's 8 people in the meeting and every day we wake up and there's more.
We're going to talk about it when we come back, because it just keeps getting better and better. We'll be right back.